time today in the center of Beijing when a man walked to the middle of the Avenue of Eternal Peace.
Well, all right. Welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass podcast with Sara and Chuck. Today I got Sara Hathaway, author of the Changing Earth series. And so we actually met at prepper camp and last year and got to experience a little bit of Hurricane Helene there together. And it was a bit of a handful. Well, first, let's I don't know. Tell us about the books quick first. I know I kind of said another day, but let's see what we got.
Yeah, so the Changing Earth series is now a 10 novel series.
Wow.
The main series is book 1 to 8, and then I have 2 side novels. Everybody loved to hate my bad guy. That book is actually Swenson is actually free right now, I think, over on Amazon. And I think that promo is still going on. Yeah, so if you're listening now, get over there.
Get it while you can, huh?
Yeah, get it while you can. And then one of the major soldiers in my story has a pretty pivotal role. So he ended up getting his own book as well. But long story short, the Changing Earth series is about the Great Quake that shakes our entire globe. And a lot of people are still alive after this incident, but a lot of the infrastructure is gone. Okay. So book 1 takes you through like right after the disaster. My female heroine, she is trapped away from her family. She's trying to get back to her family to find out, like, did my family even make it? I love teaching through my fiction. So I try and just put so much survival information in there that's reality, that's usable stuff for people to take and be able to actually learn something. So book 2 picks up 9 years later. I'm actually working on the Las Vegas years, which covers that 9-year gap. Okay. That I probably should have ready by prepper camp. It's all up to the editing process now, but that one should be ready by prepper camp this year. But the 9 years later, it's what did the government do? How did we handle this situation of we have all these people, chaos on the streets. Some people lost their homes, some people didn't. Now you have everybody, fighting for scraps and everything. So they basically rounded up the climate refugees and put them into FEMA camps. And then I went, okay, well, we have a ready labor supply here. Our oil supply has been destroyed, but we've got plenty of people just standing around. So they start this adoption program where these families are literally like adopted out to people who have factories or farms, things like that, people who need labor, right? Mm-hmm. And then to quell the population, they started the infertilization procedure. So at the age of 13, all of the climate refugees are infertilized. And so obviously my main character is not very happy with that situation. So she really becomes a Spartacus figure of like, we're going to go back to the Constitution. We're going to lead people back to freedom, back to the Constitution that made us all equal. And obviously the new government structure is not very happy with that activity. So that's where my main bad guy comes in, TJ Swenson. He's a bounty hunter. And they want the narrative. They don't want to make her a martyr. They want the narrative controlled. So let's get this family, bring them in and so that we can just, put it to rest. But Erika's not so easy to break and ends up changing him as he's trying to change her. And so that's where it goes, just crescendos up to the end.
Nice. One of the things you mentioned that's awesome is, that you try and put the survival like tips and stuff throughout the book. That's so huge. It's funny. I've had, a lot of fiction authors, apocalyptic fiction authors want to be on the show and I'll have them and we'll talk. And I actually said that to a guy. I was like, I said, whenever I read anything, I want to have like a takeaway because I feel like I wasted my time if I didn't learn something, whether it's learn something about history, some great Jefferson quote that changes the way I look at the world, or, something that's a takeaway that I'm like, yeah, I feel better and smarter now that I've done that, or something useful. And the guy's like, no, that's ridiculous. He's like, it's all about a good story. And why would you slow it down? If it doesn't fit the story, I don't bother. And I'm like, dude, you're wasting my time. Like I
Yeah,
even
I've got like a
approach the
butcher.
podcast. Yeah, with
Mhm.
that. I'm like, if they
Yeah.
don't have real takeaways that today I learned something I didn't know yesterday, then it was just a waste of time. And who's going to give me their time? Time's
Right?
valuable. And
Yeah. Yeah. You
so,
better be useful. Well, that's my podcast, the Changing Earth podcast. My original podcast I've been doing since like 2016. I take a chapter of the book. We go through it chapter by chapter, and we take the survival lesson out of that chapter and
nice.
expound upon it. So, shelter building, how to butcher, herbal healing, leadership skills, communication skills, all kinds of stuff. We go through it piece by piece. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I try to just load people up. I mean, it's not like overwhelming or anything.
Right. Right.
Like, oh, this is boring now because we're getting a lesson. It's just she's climbing up the mountain. Her horse got shot. Are you going to leave all that meat there? I mean, I know I don't want to eat a horse either. I
Right.
get it.
They're like,
People
no,
are
I
like, oh,
loved it. I loved
oh,
that horse. I can't.
right? Yeah, right. But also, you're starving.
Yeah.
And these people around you are starving, and you have a whole pile of meat sitting there. You're not going to do something with it. But do you know what to do with it? Because if you do it wrong, you can contaminate that whole product
Yes.
and hurt everybody. So,
Yeah.
it's really important to know those skills. You can't just, oh, when the apocalypse happens, I'm going to the woods. I'm going to get
Go
me a
hunt.
deer.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So you got yourself a deer, and now you ate tonight. Do you know how to preserve it?
Yeah.
Or you're just going to let it sit there and rot? Or what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So,
No, there's that movie End of the Wild where he bags that moose or whatever at the end. I don't know, whatever. It's a story. Guy goes hunting out in Alaska, or he goes to live in Alaska on his own, and he's like starving to death, and he
uh,
ends up getting a moose or whatever. And it's just he's trying to preserve it, and the flies are coming in and everything, and he's just
right.
desperate and just like I know I'm ruining it, and it just it just ends bad. It's tragic. There's another one of the one of the I like Lights Out, or one of those EMP ones, the one I think by the one of the more mainstream books.
Oh,
They,
fourth
yeah, I
thing.
think so. Yeah, they talk about his dog. He's like he gives it to
Yeah,
his neighbors, right?
yeah,
He's
right.
like,
Because
I
you
can't eat
can't.
dog, but
Yeah, I would be maybe okay with the trade. I
right,
don't know,
right.
right?
And that's it. They're kind of like, oh,
Yeah,
how do we? Because how do you,
yeah,
you don't want to waste. Everyone's desperate, and they,
exactly. You can't let
throughout the
anything get away,
Bible, people get desperate where they're like eating each other's kids and stuff. And you're
right?
like, there's like story after story. And here you're like, oh, but the dog, I'm not there yet.
No, I know. We're definitely not there yet. That's where you keep the can of cat food or dog food because you don't ever want to eat that. So if you're down to
That's
that,
your line, right? Yeah.
yeah, like you've put it off as long as possible ever. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. And then so the series, how does it keep going? Like, where do we end up?
Well, I don't want to give away spoilers,
All right,
but
so it's just the starter, and we get
yeah,
there, and then
the
okay,
Earth
it's
is
there.
the constant antagonist.
Mm,
So the earthquake is not just done,
okay.
So we start seeing more eruptions, and then we have no more sunshine, and at the whole time, society is still scrambling to try and produce a normalcy. We're all the normalcy bias. So we're all trying to like, okay, we're just going to set it up and live like this now. And then the warring factions are still going because you're fighting over resources and everything. So no spoilers allowed, but
All right,
yeah,
fair enough.
there we go.
Now the other thing though, one of the things that made your book stand out and make it kind of awesome is you guys do it as like audio theater, like the drama, and that's so awesome. Like whenever I always am like desperate to find something that's like, entertaining like that, where it's different people and characters and, and it comes to life. I'm a big audiobook fan over reading things. I'm always so disappointed when I have to read a physical book. Like there's one like Molan Mabe and some of these old school ones that the original like prepper fiction and apocalyptic fiction guys did that I'm like, I have to just bear through it and
And
whatever
actually read
and
it.
read
Yeah.
a book because nobody, did, when they're from Boston Tea Party and whatnot, and I'm like, all right, I gotta, but yeah,
Actually read it. Yeah,
so
the
you have
Louis.
that audio theater, and that's awesome.
Yeah, so I was kind of disappointed, like in the audio books. It's like, oh boy, we just get to like sit here and read it when it's on, Amazon or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have this huge podcasting network and now you're included in, for all your listeners, that you're actually doing characters as well. So thank you.
Exciting. Yep.
And it's turning out cool. I'm putting that together right now. But I was really disappointed. Like, we just get to read it, that's kind of lame. And I have this huge podcasting network. I write scripts and whatnot. I'm actually packaging the whole thing, the whole series for Hollywood right now. And I'm just a really impatient person. So I understand it's a marathon and not a sprint. It's going to take time to like actually get there and get it done.
Yeah.
But I'm not patient. And so I was like, I can make the audio drama easily. I can do this, So I started out with
writing
just
the book twice, right? I mean, it's
serious amount of work. So I have to write scripts for every single episode. Everybody records their lines individually, right? So I get all those lines in, and then I have to make it sound like it's actually a conversation, because trying to get everybody to record at once would just be like, forget it. No way you're aligning those schedules,
Yeah.
And so that all comes in. Then you have all the sounds that go with it. And at first I wasn't putting music to it. And there was like, oh, something is missing, like bad, right? So now the soundtracks to it are pretty awesome. And it really brings that tone of like, what is the character feeling? I try to pick like lyrics that are matching, like, what's that character going through right now? So the music really gave it that drive to just send it home. And then right now I'm going back through the whole series, and we're designing videos for YouTube. I say we, it's the mouse in my pocket. So you get like to see a couple scenes from the show, and so you have something to watch at the same time. So that's pretty neat. It's a lot of fun. So anybody who hasn't experienced the show yet can basically start now. We're in season 2 of the replays for them. We're gonna through season 4 is actually produced and out in the public. Season 2 is spotty right now because as I go through them, I pull them off the air and then re-release them. And then season 5 will probably begin airing for the public at Christmas time. I think I'll be through all of the replays by then, but I'm almost done with, I release it in 4 episode blocks. I'm almost done with those first 4, which you're in. And so that'll be for us subscribers only to either PBN or Changing Earth series.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be all pre-release material till it officially comes out in December-ish. So yeah, it's a fun project. It's so much fun. Yeah. It's like 2 hours of editing for every minute you hear.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just sounds like a lot of work. That's it. People are always like, oh, write a book. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like fun. But I mean, definitely AI is starting to make that world a little bit easier to get an assistant, we'll say.
From the research aspect of it. Yeah. Like before, I'd have to pull topo maps. And they're in Las Vegas. And my second book is where the refugee camp is in Las Vegas. And people are like, have you lived in Las Vegas? I'm like, no, man. I just studied the topo maps and how would this lay out? What areas would they be able to use? That kind of thing. Now, AI is making it a little bit easier. You can just be like, okay, they're in Vegas. What would be the best site? They're going on a hike or, escaping somewhere for the day. What's the closest location?
That's pretty cool. I mean, because I feel like to have that connection with your audience and the details in the past, you had to at least go on vacation to this place or like scope it out and, to really know and to be able to bring that in and even have like real data on, this is a club people are going to, this is a coffee shop that, would be the go-to instead of like, they went to Starbucks, that's not, that's probably not what the locals are maybe doing, but I guess everybody's going there now. I don't know how the world works, but I try not to leave my house. Yeah.
Because, especially like if you're doing an invasion party or they're defending a certain location, well, you've got to know like what highways are they walking down? What is the structure of that? Where's like a zoo or a major place where they would be held up, that kind of thing.
Right.
And you can't just be making this up. If it's, one of my scenes, one of my big fights happens in Denver. Well, everybody from Denver would be like, oh, no, that's not how it is.
That's not believable. Yeah.
Yeah, right? So, yeah, you got to bring the reality to that fiction so that it stays within their realm of, understanding.
No, I like it. I like that a lot. I'm a big fan of Mark Goodwin. All his books, they're kind of like religious heavy. He has Days of Noah, like that. I don't know, some other like that. That was like one of his first ones, and I don't know. It's very biblical based and into that theme, but he really like catches a good bit of the community and kind of, the small towns, and people are like, oh, what? There's a book in that town? That's my town. I want to check it out. And like you said, then they hold the author accountable, and then it's like, oh, and if you lose that feeling, that connection, I think you heard it in a small way for that very small group of people, but I don't know, you want to be authentic, right?
You do. It's like I put in details about firearms into one book. Mm-hmm. And The Walls of Freedom. It's one of my favorite ones I wrote. But I put like, okay, what guns are they actually shooting and stuff? You cannot believe what you hear back.
Oh, yeah.
9/11 wouldn't, blah, 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 and it wouldn't do that. And they don't take the same ammo. And I'm like, okay, in the future, they're shooting a rifle.
Yeah, a rifle. I don't know what rifle. It might be black.
Yeah. Whatever you're envisioning, that's what they have in their hand.
Exactly. And it works just the way you think. Yep. Yeah, no, that's smart. It's funny. There's I guess one of the popular TV shows now is that Tracker. And like the first 3 or 4 episodes, you watch them hold a gun and shoot. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so bad. And then, but now like, I don't know what season, maybe 2 or 3 or wherever the heck they are. It's like night and day difference watching them like hold a gun and whatever. And I'm like, oh, like now it's kind of believable for me that he might actually hit something and, whatever.
Well, that's how it goes as like seasons progress. That's really why I had to go back and like repolish my audio drama, because the difference between when I started and when I'm at season 5
and what now, right?
Crazy. So I wanted to make sure that people listening to season 1 were having the same experience when they were listening to season 5, So yeah, more time in, but in the long run,
it's worth it.
And I love when it
connects.
Yeah,
all day. Yeah. So we met at Prepper Camp this year. Tell me about that.
Woo! Prepper Camp this year. Okay, so last year,
I guess,
every single roof that I own was ripped off. Yeah, my house in Texas, right? My shed, hail damage, and then we go to Prepper Camp, and we, so for people who don't know, Orchard Lake Campground is beautiful. Okay, it's gorgeous lake, but it is giant pine trees, like everywhere. And that hurricane came in, and we're in a 19-foot trailer.
Yeah.
As that thing's just whipping around us, I prayed all night long. And my son's over like, we have the bunks. So it's like the 2 bunk system. And all I could think of was tree coming down and pancaking my boy, right? That's all I could. I was just like, I had a nightmare, and I woke up. I was like, I went and got him. I'm like, you're in bed with us, my oldest son.
Stay close. I got to protect you. Yeah.
I'm like, if we're going to die, we're going together. That's it. End of story. And my only saving grace was like, we had our trailer, and then we had the car parked next to it that my friend from Australia was sleeping in. And then we had our truck kind of squared out front. And then my friend Doug, his truck was squared out front too. So I was like, well, if a tree comes down, like what's the chance that the mass of vehicles sitting here would protect us and like save us? I don't know the reality of that, but praise the Lord. I believe that it was just a mass amount of prayer that put the bubble over Orchard Lake Campground.
Yeah, no, that campground stayed pretty great. It was.
My friend was in her tent. She got a tap on the shoulder from her guardian angel at about 3:00 in the morning. and she decided, no, I got to leave this spot.
Okay.
Only 2 trees came down on that whole property, and one came down right where her tent was.
Wow.
And she
Yeah,
was,
that's awesome that she.
yeah, that
That's
was like,
crazy.
hey, and move to your vehicle, right? So, praise the Lord, everybody was safe.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know the
No.
amount of chaos that was like all around us going
That's
on.
it. Yeah. It was like, oh, the
Right.
power's out, but they're still running water.
Good. What?
We were good.
Yeah.
You know,
And then my friend hooked me up to the Skylink or whatever.
Yep.
I always get the name wrong. And my phone just blows up from my mom.
Yeah.
Like,
Everybody.
oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And you couldn't get through. You couldn't get through, just so everybody knows, you couldn't get through on anything without that Skylink.
Anywhere
right?
in Helene, yeah.
No texting, no calling, everything was shut. So that is a good reason to have that. And my mom was very thankful that I could get a hold of her,
Yeah.
So my husband and I were just talking about it this morning, actually. Then even once everything kind of calmed down, the meat bees came out. The bees were insane because they were all flooded out of their homes and everything.
Yeah.
It was like the next plague on top of the plague,
Yep.
Like it was a nightmare in and of itself. I try to teach my self-defense class. People are getting stung and everything. I'm just like,
yeah,
this is crazy.
It was brutal.
So long story short, all the rippling and a branch came down on top of the trailer. So the trailer also had to receive a new roof.
Oh man. Yeah, that's like that's one of the things. So I'm in North Carolina also, and like prepper camp. And so I'm surrounded by pine trees. Like my whole
Were you in a tent? Okay,
so I was in a tent there at prepper camp.
Okay, you were in a tent.
But I showed up like
in Tent
they
City
postponed
or
the
like
first
at
day.
the
No, I was right in like
area?
in the vendor area.
Oh, okay, vendor area.
Do you know where Ty was? Kind of up like over there, like
Yeah.
They
got flooded out.
The ham guy, yeah.
But, okay, so you're over there. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. But so yeah, no, we were good. I got like a good spot early in because I showed up pretty early, like Friday afternoon. I guess like we were supposed to get there Thursday maybe, and like at the last minute, it's like, yes, you had to leave early.
Rick,
I'm only 4 hours.
Like you get there on Thursday, you're set up for Friday.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I left. I live 4 hours away about, and so I left like Friday morning. And so like I'm still driving through rain and crazy, but not the crazy that was Thursday.
Yeah.
That was and that's it. Like except everything.
So you came in after the storm.
Yeah, technically, yes.
Wow. And you made it in.
And barely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but then like that was thing. I'm coming in and where gas ran out was like there's no power like 100 miles away. And you're like, oh, but there'll be power in the next town or the next town. No, it was it. You just hit that line and that was it. And it was like all at once, like everything's good. And then now it's not.
No, it's not.
And we're like, well, there's got to be something somewhere. And I'm like rolling in on like fumes and stuff. And it was bad.
Say it aloud. One of the rules of prepper camp. You better never have an empty tank. That's like the worst hazing ever.
Oh,
if you come in on the empty tank, man, you're done.
And one of the guys there was like, I got you. I got it. Don't worry about it.
Like,
and I'm
don't worry about it.
I got my life.
Tank. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm the prepper guy and I'm on it. And no, not so much. Right.
No, screwed the pooch there.
You didn't think it would be that far forever.
We even import the disasters for prepper camp. Like we're gonna get you ready.
It was brutal.
It was brutal.
So we're looking forward to prepper camp this year. I have a tent, a booth kind of thing to set up, and then I believe I'm still a speaker this year. I talked to it. Communication is sometimes tough with Rick. I don't know. I'll get in trouble, but
gotta stay on point.
No, as far as I know, it's all good and I'm speaking and that's the thing. And I got my thing set up. So we're definitely looking forward to it. I was surprised quite a few people who like listen to the show, were there and are like, oh yeah, I came and you said, and I was like, cool, that's awesome. That,
That's awesome. Yeah.
to
Yeah. I
connect with people,
went out there year one, just selling books and stuff.
Mhm.
We had a lot of rain that year as well.
Yeah.
And like I said, we got flooded. We were floating on our air mattresses.
Yeah.
So next year I was like, oh, we're getting a trailer.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it's a little bit of glamping.
Yeah.
And I'm not usually that person, but understand my trailer is basically just like a glorified tent. And my husband doesn't even allow us to use the bathroom in there because he doesn't want to deal with any of that,
I
right?
don't blame him, right?
It's like, here's a nice bed to sleep in. That's what my trailer is, because we, it's long days.
Yeah.
And then, so I was out there year one. Then Rick asked me to come and teach self-defense on year two. And what else can you teach? So I did urban survival, like, rules for urban survival. And he comes down to watch my class, and here I am teaching people how to do like the ear cup, eye gouge, and everything. He's like, all right, yes. So now I'm teaching anti-kidnapping and anti-sexual assault class, which is super near and dear to my heart. I obviously am a woman. I don't want to see any woman be a victim. There are super easy things you can do to annihilate people, and it doesn't take strength. It doesn't take. It just takes a little bit of technique, and it takes confidence. And so, the more that I can instill that in people and protect these young women, like, that is God working through me, and I know it's God working through me because the devil is on your back the whole time. It is a very emotional class to do. You hear insane stories after the class is done.
That's what I imagine. That's like the
is
you get all these stories from, well, this happened to me,
this
my
happened to my
mom or my
daughter.
sister.
She went to a pool party by herself. They injected her with the date rape. Literally walked up behind her.
Wow.
And so, I mean,
wow, that's
just
insane.
the amount of stories that you hear, but that is all just the content that I can bring to the next class to help the next individual. So that's what I'm all about. And that's, my Hollywood drive is not about, I want to make a lot of money, or I've never been about money. I've been podcasting for 16 years. Obviously, I'm not about money. Okay. Podcasting is a labor of love. I'm sure there is a handful of
I
people
feel your,
that
I can attest to that. Yeah.
So I'm sure, but like, I'm all about, I want to teach people. I want them to do better. I want them to remember this. I want them to be prepared. I want to have prepared people to make prepared communities, and I don't want victims.
Right.
So my whole drive to get my material to Hollywood is so that I can travel and teach my classes. And I don't want to have to charge people for that information.
Right.
How can you go into like an inner city where they're the most vulnerable and be like, oh, well, yeah, it's going to cost you a couple grand to have me? No, I don't want to have to do that. So
$100 person, and all these people don't have to pay their bill. And
no, I just can't in good conscience like roll up and be like, I want to teach you this information and you're going to have to pay me to do it. I want to be able to give that to people who need it. If you looked at the Epstein list and like the girls that were most vulnerable and most victimized, they were all from these really hard situations, these really hard neighborhoods, these really broken families, and they don't have the money to pay somebody to learn that information. So
we I actually hooked up way back, it's probably about 10 years ago, with we were dealing with like sex trafficking stuff, and going in and rescuing people. And I'd heard somebody on Beck or whatever, and then got in touch with them, and then they're like, oh, come on out to Texas, we're training people to go into other countries and get trafficked victims and whatever. But they brought us out, and they're like, oh, we'll teach you all this cool tactical stuff and first aid and all this different stuff. But then it was like a million. They had, I think, like 5 different girls that had been trafficked, and we're like, this is what happened. This is how my story played out. And you kind of get that connection, and you see how it plays out. And, and it's like terrifying. And you're just like, and you see how it can happen, like, cause you're like, well, why don't they just walk away? Why don't they just, and you know, and
you get wooed in, and then you're just told these things. You're built up at the start, and then you're just hammered down, and they just got you. They got,
and then
so TJ Swenson, in my book, I was actually studying Tim Ballard and what he was working on, and it was just heartbreaking. Like learning the whole population of the United States is enslaved in the world. And it's like, wait a minute, everybody told us that doesn't exist anymore. What is going on here?
Right. And it's
right? Yeah, it's everywhere. It's not like, oh, it's over there. No, it's here in our country. And so
in our country, and insane in other countries. And
so that's where TJ Swenson came from. My bounty hunter is that human trafficker. He is that guy. And he's hard. And he's hard for some people to take, right? Like he is a turnoff to a lot of people, and I get it. But he lets you know we live in this world where we have this false sense of security. And the minute the rules go down, the minute our sheepdogs stand back and let things happen, is the minute these guys get power. And that's a scary day. You know, I'm a tough gal. Yeah, you're done.
No, not going for that.
Yeah, I mean, no. So that's why he came around, and why I always kind of, and then his story, I did his origin story, and he was actually human trafficked as a kid to be brought into this world.
I know, it's weird, and you see that connection play out, and you're like, how? You knew how horrible.
Yeah, but that became his world.
Just
right.
But that's and that's kids who have the abusive dad and then are abusive later, and it's just like how and then,
and so
it's amazing.
Maybe a little spoiler, his friend kind of smacks him around, and maybe he wakes up one day, but we'll see. But that's
maybe
story,
not.
And that's how he came about. So anybody who's like, oh my gosh, this guy, I don't know, he's too evil. Nope, he's not.
Yep.
He's not. He's a psychological manipulator. Like he doesn't want to kill you. He wants to own you.
Yeah.
And it don't matter if you're a guy or a girl. He wants to own you and become your god.
I don't know. Some things I watch or read, and I'm like, oh, that hits too close to home. That's too hard. I get, in your heart. Like it's weird. I'll watch like American Sniper. And there's things in there, I'm a veteran, whatever, and you're just like, oh, that's hard.
Right.
Or there's certain war movies. I can watch certain war movies like all day long. I'm like, oh, that's great. Like violence and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. And then there's some like deeper undertones, like just one sentence from a guy or something. I'm like, oh, that's messy. That's not, and they just connect with you, and it just makes it hard.
So I try to temper him. I try to keep him.
Yeah.
He's never mean to children, right? Like I can't in good conscience.
Can't get there, huh?
So like he always protects kids, and so it leaves you kind of going, this guy, like he just wants order. He just wants to instill an order to this chaos that's going on. That's really his mission. But that's the only way he knows how to do it. It's like, look, you just listen to me, and I'll control it all. And we'll be good. Like, what's the problem here? So yeah. So if he's a little abrasive, everybody hang on, because you need a little dose of it now and again. Remember.
That's it. So what I'm hearing though is everybody needs to sign up and get tickets to go to Prepper Camp.
For sure.
So they can meet you and come check it all
right
out.
Now
I know last time you had. Yeah, and last time you had some discounts for your book series when people went to Prepper Camp,
and
they were able to get like big bundles and
I got my bag,
so a lot of
water
cool
bottles, all the goodies are out there. Yeah,
all the swag, right? That's awesome. I know this year, like you said, last time I did sleep in a tent on the ground, and like I said, we were. I made the smart play, although, like I had mentioned to you, I think my wife is reluctant to try it again.
It was a hard year.
I did buy a tent that actually sets up in the bed of the pickup.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be the dream. I actually haven't even set it up yet because I'm like, I got to get to it. And I keep
make sure the air mattress stays inflated.
Yeah, it's got it all. It's just, we got, I'm so ready. So we just got to pull it off. So definitely it's going to be good
Yeah.
this year. And that's the thing, like prepper camp's awesome because you have ham radio, you have the self-defense classes. I do an EMP class.
There's
You know, all the
rifle
different things.
classes, there's like the entry classes. I mean, obviously there's no shooting there, but everything you want to know about how to move and whatnot. All the herbal classes, like the silver, the mushrooms, all the not magic mushrooms or anything like that.
Oh, not that. No, it's not the
No,
hippie,
no. You know, they're the beekeeping and the blacksmithing. My little son, you know, he's 13 now. He's been going for we've been going for 5 years now straight. And he's like in all the classes. He's soaking up all the info. You'd think this kid would be bored out of his mind. Now there's the pond, there's fun, and
And that's the thing is there's great people there too. It's like there's so many, like even if you just hang out talking from booth to booth with, you know, the different people, there's so many people and they're so knowledgeable. And if they're there, it's because they're people who love to share their knowledge and are excited about it and passionate about.
Yeah. And the crowd, even the
stuff.
crowd, you learn so much just from the crowd that's there.
That's it. People who are committed like that they're going to prepper camp, they're somebody who's all in, you know.
Well, we've got the new ones too. We've got like these young kids showing up, and I seen like these yuppies, like with their pearl necklaces, everything, all with their purses, everything. I was like, yeah, all right, get in on it, man. You know, everybody has insurance, right? You wouldn't have a house without insuring it, right? I mean, you got a spare tire in your trunk, don't you? You know, everybody's a prepper in some way. Just how ready do you want to be?
Unless you don't bring in extra gas to prepper camp.
Well, I won't tell anyone if you don't.
It's like, man, you really saved me here. It's a little awkward. And that's the thing, like I was ecstatic that I only had to wait 2.5 or 3 hours in line for gas when I got to like in Ingalls. And the whole time you're like, it's going to run out. It's going to run out before I get there.
Literally, because we had the trailer.
Yeah.
So we were scouting it with the van. Luckily, a couple of my friends went out before us and like gave us the route. But we couldn't get the trailer around that first. There was this big old thing of branches coming out. So we're trying to get the guys to get their chainsaws there. I'm doing this or that or whatever. We went up with hand saws, literally cut our way through that stuff so we could get, you know, there's 80 other trailers trying to come out behind us. If one of us gets stuck, we're all screwed.
Right. So, and that's, you had mentioned, you know, no cell phones and whatever, but people don't think we all have our maps, right? And we're on our phone and we're in an area we've never been. I must have went down 5 different roads.
I got the book even. Yeah.
You got to have the paper. Yeah. But like if you cover a bigger area, you don't have those little back roads. They're not there. And that was the biggest thing was like, we couldn't every turn we made, you know, like we hit the South Carolina border. They're like, nope.
Oh, you made it down to the border, the back way.
Yeah. Back way. And they were like, nope. It was right at the line. They were like, nope.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I got the tough truck, but I don't have the gas. I can only go so far.
We were on like
so many
3/4 tank. Yeah. My husband's pulling the trailer.
Yeah.
So
it's terrible.
Lines.
Yeah.
Just crazy lines. We made it. Yep. We finally made it down like well into South Carolina. And I've never seen so crazy on the highway when we were driving out with like, they just bulldoze stuff just into piles on the side with the trees just cut off right there. Like that was insane. It was an adventure though, whatever, you know? I think if I hear there's a hurricane coming in, I will probably adhere to the wisdom of my friends who live in Louisiana and get those hurricanes all the time and said, hey guys, you might not want to go. And I went anyway. And I was like, oh, bring it, you know, mustard seed of faith. We're going to make it through this. And we did. Amen.
Exactly.
But
it worked.
And I wouldn't have traded the experience like Rick and Jane and Chin. And there's just I don't get to see them enough. And so
Right. They're
that's
such great people, and they choose
yeah,
the best people to be around,
right.
and, everything that you're happening
I
there,
told 'em
it
I'd be
just
there
is
no matter what, you know?
right. It's people who care about the mission, right? And that's
Yeah.
what matters, and that's why it's
Everybody's
awesome.
like, "Oh,
So,
they're
yeah,
making money." What? No, they're not. No, they're not. They
no.
put it's like my audio drama. They put all
Yeah.
that energy into it all year long to
Yeah.
provide God's work.
Yep. No, that's right. So, preppercamp.com for
Camp
that. Where are they going for all your stuff? Where are we buying?
changingearthseries.com. Everything is changingearthseries.com. And then if you whatever you want is from there. So if you want to
It'll take
check
you
out
where you
like
need to
my
go.
podcast where I
Nice.
do the survival fact and fiction, it's there. If you want to check out the Change Earth audio drama, got links there. All my social media. It's just I made it the hub. You can buy signed copies there. And the ebooks, everything, changingearthseries.com.
Nice. I got it in the show notes, and yeah, no, so you guys are awesome. So, Sarah, thank you. I
Well,
appreciate having you
thank
out
you for
here.
volunteering to do some of my crazy characters. I'm always looking for voices, so I really appreciate your time with that.
That's it. No, I appreciate it. So, with that, stay safe, and we will talk to you guys next week.